Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. So, with that screenshot that I shared from the Street People of Los Angeles Instagram page, it is another reminder of how liberal atheist / progressive leadership is soft on crime. Because we have the zero cash bail policies and this sort of progressive mode of looking at drug use and homelessness. Now, liberal atheists will say it's not very Christian to not let people live outside, that it's not a crime to live outside in the street, and that you're wrong if you feel uncomfortable having large encampments and people digging through garbage and stuff like that. They will also argue that libertarians do this as well. People should be free to use drugs as they please because they're not hurting anybody else. I think they are. They say they're not. And so drugs should be legalized, taxed, and regulated. So you should be allowed to get high as much as you want, wherever you want. And that the government has no right to stop you from being high in public. And the government has no right to not allow you to live on the street. So my question just still remains is, why are some people pretending like liberal atheists are the standard of morality? Because time and time again, we are seeing more homeless people who are high as a kite. Let's put it that way. They're stoned out of their mind on different drugs. Sure, you want to mix in mental illness, whatever. They're not in their right mind, and they got nothing left to lose, some of them feel. And, well, they just want to lash out. Having a social worker with a clipboard there, in her little skirt and high heels, writing with a pretty little pencil, "Oh, how do you feel right now?" Going to these people is not necessarily going to help. Now, I would argue that if we stopped having such full prisons and started using cheap methods of death row and putting the capital punishment on people, we would lighten the tax burden to keep these inmates alive, and we could use that saved money to create permanent housing places and more asylums. These people have to be forcefully removed from the streets and put into facilities where they can live out the rest of their days or stay there until they return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some people truly just have to not be allowed to use drugs, be basically forced to be sober. And I have explained in the past how labor camps are something that we have to have. We need to have it. Punishing law-abiding citizens by having our taxes drained to fuel the slothness of a criminal is absurd. If they're too dangerous to be rehabilitated, their organs should be harvested. They should be subjected to testing for medicines or surgeries, you name it. They should lose certain rights. We're talking about criminals, let's say, for example, someone who has done an atrocity, and it's real, and it's recorded with DNA evidence, so there's just no room for doubt. With the advent of AI, that's going to become a problem because you have people doing deep fakes, and then some innocents will get lost in the sauce in that. But there are certain crimes, not, oh, you held a protest and, you wrestled with a cop, now you're going to go to a horrible gulag. No, but I do think that there are some people who are beyond putting back in society, and they can get the more harsher punishments. But for homeless drug addicts who refuse to work and are able-bodied, they don't need to be in the street harming the good people, nor should they be relaxing, having gay sex in prison, and using, homemade wine that they make in the toilet there. It's really gross, but if you've studied anything about prisons, they know how to make wine, they know how to do all kinds of stuff. You'd be super surprised. So they still smuggle in drugs, and they still get to have sex, and they don't have to really work. And a very small fraction of light labor is resourced from prisons. And how much tax dollars go towards the prisons doesn't justify their existence per each inmate. And a lot of those places, they milk taxpayers and don't actually put things into the prison. And so I would argue that we need to let go of the atheist creed on crime. Liberals and progressives have proven they cannot lead, alright? They will censor you online, try to ban you and demonetize you and shadow ban you, but to actual criminals, they don't do very much. So they're very concerned about you having a spicy meme, or just saying men don't belong in female spaces, right? That cross-dressing and stuff like that doesn't make you someone who gets to go into a female locker room, right? They'll ban you over that. They'll try to cancel you and everything. But yet when it comes to actual dangerous individuals, there's a lot of coddling. And I do wonder how much more crime will it take in order for people to realize that the liberal atheist code of conduct concerning policing and criminality is just not working. It's not working. They're super progressive, see the humanity. They just need a bubble bath and they're gonna change. Maybe, but it's nothing wrong in my opinion with having severe punishments on those who really victimize innocent people. And with that tattooed degenerate who stabbed those two tourists, well, he should be made an example of, shouldn't he? Now, what's funny is if you say you should flog that criminal, liberals, atheists will tell you that's too cruel. Meanwhile, he stabbed two people, but they say that it's too cruel to whip him publicly, that it's barbaric. He deserves instead to be in a cell, having gay sex, smoking drugs, and having a cup of noodles, and not contributing any type of physical labor to the nation at all. That's his punishment. Really examine that. Meanwhile, depending on if those people's insurance, how will they be disabled for the rest of their life? Some people who get stabbed, they don't recover very well. Intestinal problems, so many bills. So the good person is punished, but the lunatic isn't really. They'll still be able to get high and get pleasure in prison. And so it's important for us to start documenting these cases and really waking people up to how California liberals have nosedived this state and how they should not be trusted concerning any type of human rights. Because the funny part is that neoliberals, they want to go around and be the world police, right? While their own cities, it's just free range on the citizens, and you just gotta take it. And if you say anything disparaging, well, you're in trouble, aren't you? You could lose your job, and you could suffer. If you don't like open drug use, if you don't say, oh, well, maybe they had this trauma when they were a kid, and that's why they're getting high, so who are we to judge? No. No open drug use. You can't just lay on the sidewalk hallucinating, and then an innocent person walks by and they lash out. You can't own a tiger, okay? Why are you allowed to be high in the streets? That's more dangerous than a tiger. You're not allowed to have a concealed carry permit in some places in California. So you're not allowed to protect yourself from the criminals. But people are allowed to be high and mentally deranged on the streets, roaming about like they're walkers in The Walking Dead. And so this is another reminder to you to have a security mindset when you step foot in liberal cities. Liberal atheists, progressives, liberal Democrats, you name it, the left-wing spectrum of America, they make cities less safe. So be very wary of trusting them to fix your community. With less religiosity, they come in and look what they give you. Open brothel culture, the endorsing of thug culture because it's a freedom of expression through their music, and you shouldn't judge them for having all these gnarly tattoos. Not artistic, hipster tattoos, but like tattoos designed like that guy has a tat on his neck. You can tell he's gang affiliated. Oh, don't judge them. You know, you just gotta assume that they're going to sell you some car insurance. No. You have to be careful. Okay? And if you travel to California, I would just research places you shouldn't go. Really be safe. It's heartbreaking how dangerous it is for women, especially women and children and the elderly, because of liberal atheist policies. Their crime reforms, along with defunding police, because George Floyd got his neck, crushed or whatever, because he swallowed all these pills and went into cardiac arrest. He swallowed all his drugs. Because of that one incident, they did sweeping changes and advocated for policies that make life less safe. Just for that one innocent. It's really wild. But be safe, fam. And if you're a tourist coming to America and you are setting foot in California, yes, you may come 3 or 4 times and it may be fine. But I think that you should take caution. You should be very careful, especially in Los Angeles, the Bay Area. Be smart, man. Don't take chances. And do know that Google is a liberal organization, so they do bury a lot of crime news related to blue states while amplifying it in red states. Be cautious of that AI bias. Silicon Valley, we should call it, isn't very friendly towards the average person who has to endure the crime. Be wise. And they'll gaslight you, tell you, oh no, it's out of proportion, and it's not that bad, and oh, it's a record low. Be smart, man. Just start talking to people. How many are dealing with so many different styles of crime? Crime is rampant right now, so be safe, make dua to Allah, and trust you.